In the latest episode of this series, we saw Bobby Allison win the championship over Richard Petty and took away Petty's 1972 title. So today, we're going to take a look at the 1973 season and see what would have happened with a consistent points format. In 1973, we're going to take a look at 6 drivers: Benny Parsons, James Hilton, Cale Yarborough, Richard Petty, Buddy Baker, and Cecil Gordon. In the opening 5 races, we had 2 winners. Richard Petty would win the Daytona 500 and then go back-to-back by winning the next week at Richmond. And Cale Yarborough would win the 5th race of the season at Bristol. After the first 5 races of the season, Richard Petty narrowly held the point lead over Cale Yarborough with finishes of 21st, 1st, 23rd, and 2nd. Over the course of the next 5 races, Richard Petty would have 4 DNFs and fall out of the point lead. Cale Yarborough would have 2 DNFs, and this would ultimately deny him the point lead, and the driver who took the lead would be Benny Parsons, who had 5 straight top 10s, 4 of which being top 5s, and only had a lowest finish of 6th. So after 10 races, Benny Parsons would have the point lead by 39 points over Cale Yarborough, and we would have 4 drivers in serious striking distance of the points lead. At Nashville, Parsons finished 2nd while Yarborough dominated the race, and the gap shrunk to 29 points. At the World 600 at Charlotte, Parsons finished 5th while Yarborough finished 3rd, and now the gap was 19 points. With Buddy Baker winning the race, he was now just 52 points behind in 3rd. At Dover, Parsons finished 6th while Yarborough finished 2nd, and Yarborough would take the point lead by 6 points over Parsons. Baker finished 7th and was now 57 points back in 3rd. At the Texas World Speedway, Yarborough finished 4th while Parsons finished 7th, and Parsons was now 20 points behind. Baker finished 6th and was still 57 points back. At Riverside, Parsons finished 3rd while Yarborough finished a terrible 24th, and Buddy Baker would fall out of contention with a 38th place finish. And now, a little past the halfway point of the season, the battle was between Parsons and Yarborough. At Michigan, Yarborough finished 6th while Parsons finished 9th, and now the gap was just 42 points. At Daytona, Parsons finished 6th while Yarborough had an abysmal day, finishing in 36th, and the gap was now 137 points. At Bristol, Parsons won the race while Yarborough finished 19th, and the gap was now a whopping 211 points. At Atlanta, Yarborough bounced back with a 2nd place finish while Parsons finished 25th, and now the gap was back down to 124 points. At Talladega, Yarborough finished 5th while Parsons finished a terrible 38th. And now, with just 8 races left in the season, Parsons and Yarborough were in a really tight battle. At Nashville, Parsons finished 19th while Yarborough finished 14th, and Yarborough would inherit the points lead by 5 points over Parsons. And Richard Petty, who finished 2nd, was now only 65 points out of the lead. At the Southern 500 in Darlington, Yarborough won the race while Parsons finished 5th. It was now 35 points back in 2nd. Petty finished 4th and was now 90 points behind in 3rd. At Richmond, Petty won the race while Yarborough finished 2nd. It was now 80 points back in 3rd. Parsons finished 4th and was now 50 points behind in 2nd. At Dover, Cale Yarborough would have a terrible day, finishing 25th while Parsons finished 4th and took the points lead by 27 points over Yarborough. And Richard Petty finished 7th and was now 44 points behind in 3rd. At North Wilkesboro, Parsons finished 5th while Yarborough finished 3rd. It was now only 12 points back in 2nd. Petty finished 2nd and was now only 19 points behind in 3rd. At Martinsville, all 3 contenders had strong runs, but Cale Yarborough would take the points lead with a 2nd place finish by 7 points over Richard Petty, who won the race. And Benny Parsons was now 18 points behind in 3rd with 2 races to go. At the penultimate race of the season at Charlotte, Cale Yarborough would have a strong win, while Petty finished 2nd, and Parsons finished 4th. And heading into the finale, the 3 drivers were only separated by 45 points. All Yarborough had to do was finish 2nd if Petty won the race. If Parsons was to win, he would have to gain max points to have Petty finish 5th and Yarborough finish 9th. So in the finale at Rockingham, we had a very anticlimactic finish to an awesome season. Benny Parsons got caught up in a wreck on lap 12, and he was automatically eliminated. Richard Petty had an engine failure a little before the halfway point of the race. And with Yarborough finishing 3rd, it's not like any of the other drivers really had a chance. So with that, Cale Yarborough would be the 1973 champion and clinch his first championship. In 1973, we had probably the greatest championship battle ever up to this point. The three drivers of Cale Yarborough, Richard Petty, and Benny Parsons were in the biggest dogfight for the title. These three drivers were so even. Look at the stats. But ultimately, in the end, Cale Yarborough's consistency is what won him this championship. Benny Parsons always had speed, but only won one race, and just did not consistently have race-winning pace. And Richard Petty was just too inconsistent earlier in the season, and that is why he didn't come away with a championship. And also, this now makes Cale Yarborough a 4-time champion in NASCAR, due to him winning the titles in this year, 1976, 1977, and 78, and now taking away Benny Parsons' 73 championship. Well, that'll do it for today, guys. Thanks for watching, and there will be no videos for the next 2 weeks for Christmas. So Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all my viewers, and I'll see you in 3 weeks for another video.